house in order. Joining us now, congressional reporter for Punchbowl News, Mica Soellner. Talk to us a little bit, Mica, about the dynamics here that Speaker Johnson is going to have to deal with, because you look at the way that government funding has gone in the past, and the open secret on the Hill is it has to be bipartisan, because 30 or some odd members of the Republican side have never voted for just a kick the can down the road continuing resolution. Is that going to change now?
I think the biggest factor that's going to change in this instance is Trump saying that he wants to see unity, don't mess this up. He doesn't want any dissent on this vote. I think that's going to be a big change from previous years under the Biden administration, even before that, because Trump is such a massive, massive influence right now, especially in a Republican trifecta. I do think Johnson was really, really working to make sure that there really is no one other than Massey who will dissent on this vote. And, you know, if they do, I think that they can expect a Truth Social post from President Trump.
And the power of a Truth Social post could be both very problematic in a primary or also not problematic at all. And so I guess we'll test the political weight of that. But who are some of the names that you're still looking at? Because for me, I'm thinking Chip Roy, Tim Burchett. I mean, these are guys who have never gone along with funding like this before. Are they now?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of these conservative hardliners and members of the Freedom Caucus, some of them have never voted for a CR. I know that they've been having meetings at the White House with the president, who was trying to sway them on the CR. They had one last week. Some people were saying they expect more calls or more outreach from the White House on this, and I know that some people are starting to come around. One member in particular, Eric Burleson of Missouri, he's very against CRs, but he said that he's even starting to come around after that meeting.
That's really quite a powerful thing, then, the way that Trump could potentially move votes on this issue specifically, as so many members have staked, really like planted a flag in the ground almost on government funding. So that's going to be fascinating to watch. And then, of course, there's the role that Democrats play in this, because many of them feel there's no reason to help Republicans continue to fund the government when the White House has really just ignored the way that Congress has appropriated funding in the first place. But is there any kind of negative political impact to not voting on this?
Yeah, I mean, if Democrats, don't do their part in terms of voting for this or helping Republicans anyway, and I know a few will peel away from their party, I mean, Republicans will just blame the shutdown on them. So it's politically, it's going to be detrimental for them to, help pass this along. But I know that there is not a lot of goodwill between the two parties right now, so definitely not in a position to help Republicans in any way.
And Republicans put this package together without consulting Hakeem Jeffries. It was solely done with Republicans in the room. Really, when we're talking about this government funding battle, though, I think it's important to point out the calendar that we're dealing with. Yes, the deadline is on Friday, but the House is actually hoping to dispense with this on Tuesday, right?
Right, yeah. So we're expected to bring it up to a vote tomorrow, and after that, the House is gone, and they're not going to want to deal with this. So it's really crunch time right now.
Yeah, and they can always come back. But at the same time, I think the other Democratic dynamic that you and I were talking about during the break is the frustration that we've started to hear from rank-and-file Democratic members regarding the way that the party was physically on display during the joint address, some of them having much more open protests to President Trump, others being more seated, more demure, to use a word that's been overused. There's concern that it didn't do the party any favors. Even Congressman Jake Auchincloss was on here last week saying neither party did themselves any favors, but certainly Democrats were in that bucket. What's the frustration that you're hearing? And is it all directed at Hakeem Jeffries, or is it more widespread than that?
I think it's a little bit more widespread, but there is a lot of frustration right now internally against Democratic leadership, saying that they, I was speaking with one member, last week who told me that they just don't see a lot of direction in terms of what they actually should be done. And this person was upset in the fact that these people that do go against leadership never get any consequences in terms of their actions.
That's a really interesting point, because, of course, this is a caucus that was used to the iron fist ruling style of Nancy Pelosi. And certainly Jeffries has a very different vibe, a different tone, and a different tactic around him. He's a listener who tries to build consensus and then guide the party that way. It's going to be interesting to see if that's the winning effort here as Democrats continue down this stretch. Mica Soellner, thank you.